Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC Fight Night, Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. We're going to be breaking down the main event, but we also are changing a little bit of the format here on the show. I'm going to get into more of some prop plays, going to get into more totals throughout each show. So going to discuss some of that, and each card I'm going to have the fade of the card. Going to start breaking down a particular, whether it's a fight, a fighter, a side, a prop, whatever it may be that everybody feels like is a really strong bet, and we're going to discuss why it possibly may not. So I'm going to look for those, each card, a buyer beware segment. So with that being said, we have cashed 10 of the last 13 events, making profit. Summer has been great. I don't want to see summer go because we are kicking some ass, making some money, so it does feel good. I am coming off, although there was no UFC last weekend, a 2-1 performance on my client plays for NFL. So yes, I do cap NFL as well. So if you're interested, I'm always giving those out for very cheap discount. So take a look. But right now on the UFC side, I have a 5% graded play, a 5% graded best bet play. And this play here, I do not give out too many 5% plays. So this one I do feel good about. I think the line is strong. So if you're interested, link down in the description. Take a look at the plays. I have the 5% play loaded right now. We'll be adding a couple more plays to that package. So if you do buy it, you will get the email when I do update on more plays. So with that being said, I think it's time to get into the main event of the evening between Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. Right now you got Anthony Smith is roughly around a minus 170. You've got Ryan Spann plus 140, roughly around there. Now again, I want to kind of shorten this up a little bit. We always go 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see, if one fighter can expose the other, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. I'm going to go through these a little bit quicker now. Like I said, I want to kind of get into some other things here as well, give more plays out, give more information, so hopefully everybody can make some more profitable nights and be a little bit more knowledgeable when you're placing these wagers. So we're going to talk about Anthony Smith first. You've got Anthony Smith. 3 fights ago, he fought Alexander Rakic. Now, this was a fight here where really Rakic just was dominating. I mean, this is a guy that I am very high on. Rakic has the ability, strong in the clinch. He's able to utilize some grappling in spots, has fantastic kickboxing. And this is a spot here where right away, you saw, both of them trading leg kicks, and you really saw that just the speed at which Rakic lays off these, fires off these leg kicks. It ended up dropping Anthony Smith at one point. Too many leg kicks, hurting him. He got on top of him. A lot of it wasn't too sexy of a fight, really, to say the least, because Rakic kind of laid on top of him, and Smith was trying to do certain things, kind of push forward, but he looked like he was shot. He looked like his leg was hurt really badly. Trying to get pressure on Rakic, trying to smother those kicks, because that's the best way to really stop a kicking game, is get in tight, don't let them be able to fire it. Smith was trying to utilize some of his boxing. He goes out there, his leg was basically toast by the end of the fight. He loses, Anthony Smith loses a decision to Alexander Rakic. And then 2 fights ago, he fought Devin Clark. This was basically a pick'em fight, which is kind of interesting that this line was a pick'em going into this fight. But this is one here where really, Clark said, I'm just going to bulldoze forward. I'm going to push forward. I'm going to look for that quick takedown. Don't allow Anthony Smith to kind of get comfortable in the pocket. Again, with his toughness and brawling mentality, that's something that obviously Clark wants nothing to do with. Look for the takedown, and he actually, very easily, inside of a clinch, and Smith just throws down Clark to his back, gets on top, lands a couple nice shots. Both of them were kind of scrambling back and forth, who had top position, who didn't. But really in that spot here, I thought it was very impressive the way that Smith was able to kind of get into a good spot, sink in a finish against Clark, who really was looking to, that was his game plan. He's looking to kind of go in there, get a level change, and look for the takedown, and then continue to, to kind of work the ground and pound. Smith reverses that, gets a nice finish in that first round. So there you have it there. And then most recently he fought Jimmy Crute. Not much to say here. I thought it was a pretty good showing for Smith, landing some nice leg kicks. Crute is a beast. I mean, I'm definitely high on him, once he kind of heals up. I know that he, had the injury to his leg during that fight, but a good showing overall for Smith. He goes out there and gets the victory. On the other side, you've got Ryan Spann. Most recently, he fought Sam Alvey. Now, this was the fight, and I got to be honest with you, this is the fight here where it really was unimpressive. Sam Alvey, I gotta say, I'm a sucker for him at plus money, and I posted that a couple times. When he's at plus money, I like to put a little bit of something on him. because the opportunity's there. He's sloppy, he's unorthodox, he's a brawler, and there's times where he just kind of sits in the pocket waiting for the counters, and that kind of spelled a lot of really good things, I think, for Spann in the fight. And quickly he got the clinch, got up to, got Sam Alvey up in the clinch, and almost a standing triangle choke that he had at a certain point. But after that, I gotta say, those first 2 rounds were pretty close and pretty uneventful. And for Spann, who, he's a big guy, has power, he can be explosive, this was a spot where he was pretty sloppy standing. They were both kind of sloppy standing. A lot of, you did see a lot of calf kicks being thrown, but the plotting movement, I think, is something that has to change. If the fact that when he's going up against Anthony Smith, because he is very heavy on his feet, very slow, kind of moving forward, and that really allowed somebody like Alvey, who's a slow himself, to really kind of land some shots, find some success. So I thought that was something here where the low output was there, but he was still landing. He was still outboxing Ryan Spann, and it was close going into the 3rd round. I thought was the best round for Spann. I thought you could give it 2-1 to Alvey. I mean, you definitely could. It was a split decision. It did go to Ryan Spann, so he goes out there and gets the victory. And in that fight too, Spann was a -450 going into that fight. So really crazy that it ended up being that close. But the hype is there. Question is, can he kind of push forward? And his next fight was up against Johnny Walker. Now, this was a client play. Did have Johnny Walker as a client play here. It's always scary taking Johnny Walker because of his chin, the way he falls down, basically, if the wind blows. But, Spann landed some nice shots, and both of them right away looked for the big shots, landed, pushed forward, then you had Spann who gets the takedown, trying to get a takedown. Now, the part here that I thought that was, is something that can be taken into the fight with Smith, is how this fight ended. I mean, you've got somebody like Johnny Walker who, again, I think before the fight ended, he got rocked, dropped, it was a 2-minute fight, and he got dropped twice, 2 or 3 times, wobbled, kind of stumbling around. So, Spann's got the power, of course, but, obviously the chin is not there for Walker. But you did see where Spann went for the takedown, tried to sink it in, tried to level train to get the pull down. Really, I thought that's probably the most vulnerable he will be when he's going up against someone like Anthony Smith, who does a lot of the same things inside the clinch, on those takedowns. He throws the big hammer fists, he throws the big elbows, and that's how this fight ended. Spann kind of leaving everything out there, his head wide open. That was landed the big shots during the takedown attempt, and that allowed Johnny Walker to get the first round finish. So he beats Ryan Spann there. And then most recently against Visa Shurkinov. Not going to get into this one here. It was a good showing for Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann was in a good spot there, landed some nice shots, pushed forward. You got Misha, who really doesn't have good striking at all, but he ended up, he dropped Misha, let him back up, dropped him again, got the finish. So it was a good showing for him there in the first round to get the victory. Now, with it all being said, now the big thing here for me is really going to be cardio. Now, that's obviously going to be, I think, the big storyline. You got that first round where it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary for Anthony Smith because that Spann does not care. He will look for the big shots. He will trade. He will look to land. And, Smith is not scared to kind of, indulge into that and say, all right, let's do it. And that's where it's a crapshoot. If that's the way it goes, whoever lands is going to get the victory there. But I think that the cardio part of this, and 5-rounder, and you've seen a lot of Spann, where Spann has fought through his career 1 rounds, 2 rounds. I mean, you don't really see these deep into fights, and you do see that his cardio falls off a cliff, at a point into that fight. Maybe he's got a good 6 minutes, 7 minutes, of just really good, looks like he's all there, and then you see, even his the fight against Sam Alvey. You saw in the second round, he is mouth open, he's looking tired, and that allows somebody who has a very low volume to get back into the fight, where you've got somebody like Anthony Smith who will push forward, who will push your cardio, who will put the volume out, who will stand and bang with you. So I think that is going to be where Smith can extend this fight, is going to help him in the long run here. Now, you mix the cardio issues that Spann has, because obviously he's got some cardio questions when we talk about that, but again, the pace. So not only that, again, the volume, but the pace that he has on top of that. And then you have the slow movement of Ryan Spann on top of a pace, bad cardio. A lot of that just doesn't really add up very well for Ryan Spann at all. I mean, there's really not much that you could like there. So the fact that he's going to be heavy-footed and he doesn't really check leg kicks, and definitely you're going to see Anthony Smith have a wide open target right on the legs of Ryan Spann, where he's obviously, the boxing is there. You know, Ryan Spann doesn't have this high-end kicking game where you've got the little more well-roundedness of Anthony Smith. I think that is going to leave a lot of opportunities where you've got the lack of footwork, you've got the lack of movement, he's heavy on his feet, and he's, you know, heavy on his feet basically looking to box, but also level change. And that's just gonna be a lot of opportunity to land big shots and chip away and make the slower Ryan Spann even slower in that spot there. And also the part of this is, you know, the path to victory could be, you know, you could say Ryan Spann could go in there, get the takedown, look to get the takedown, work it. But on the other side of that, you know, he can't wrestle for 5 rounds. He's not going to wrestle for 5 rounds. He can't wrestle for, it can't happen. So he's gonna have to really find a finish, you know, whether it's grappling, and he's gonna have to do it early. I mean, to my opinion, and I think, you know, I don't think I'm telling you something you don't know, but obviously, you know, later fight, it's gonna really be favorable to Anthony Smith. So I think he extends this fight. He can't grapple for 5 rounds. You've seen Smith, who has gone through some wars, who has pushed into 5 rounds, who has pushed later into fights. He's been stopped later in some fights. He's went to decision. You know, I think it was John Jones went to a 5-round decision. So he's capable of doing that. I think that, you know, that's where the success will be for him, because he's going to be getting tired. But you also add in now, later in the rounds, later, you know, if it gets to their 2nd, 3rd, or if it even goes to 4th round, that's where Spann is going to have these sloppy takedowns, and that is going to provide the same kind of ending that Johnny Walker had, where Johnny Walker, you know, he's looking for those takedowns, and the head is wide open, and boy, does Anthony Smith love to throw those elbows, throw knees, mix it up in there. So for me here, I like Anthony Smith. I'm going to be taking him at -170, but I also like the prop on this here. I think this is a spot where you're not going to see a finish. I'm sorry, you're not going to see a decision. You're going to see a finish. I think Smith inside the distance, getting off the bigger number, getting you a little bit better odds here. Inside the distance is +150 on FanDuel Sportsbook. I really like that price. I think that's absolutely worth it. I don't see this going to a decision. And if it goes deeper, or if it did go to a decision, I think that Smith wins the fight. But I think that either one of these guys, this is going to be a fight that does not go the distance, in my opinion. I do believe that he goes out there, and after kind of weathering that first storm in the first round, I think Smith starts to take control, slows down the big guy, finds a finish, whether it's a submission finish or it's a knockout. But I'm going to be going Anthony Smith inside the distance, +115. Also, Anthony Smith via straight bet at -170. And then real quickly, I'm going to talk about my submission prop of the card here. And again, I want to get into these a little bit more. Not going to dive into these too much, but looking to give more plays. And again, for me, I have a allotted amount of money per event that I'm going to be putting on it. And basically, 20% or so is going to be going on free plays, props, parlays, and then 80% of that allotted amount of money is going to be going on my client plays. So that's kind of how I structure it each fight, to show you that basically, yes, I like these. A lot of these are sprinkles. My heavier plays are going to be client plays, just to kind of make sure we're clarifying all that. But this is definitely one that I do like as a sprinkle here. It's Arman Tsarukyan versus Christos Giagos. And this is a fight here where you've got Arman is -850, ridiculously high, and I think rightfully so because he's a beast. Christos is +540. And the spot here that I like is just anywhere this fight goes is going to really be favorable for Tsarukyan. He is just a well-rounded specimen. He is absolutely a rising talent. He's got it all. He's got the cardio, he's got the stand-up game, he's strong, he can keep moving forward, he can keep the pressure, his grappling is fantastic. He really can put it all together. I like the way that he fought Dami Ramos. I think that, you know, even against Makhachev he lost, but that obviously Makhachev is even more of an animal. So a lot of that stuff to me really goes to the spot where you're going to see chipping away, basically doing whatever he wants early in that fight. And I think that's where you're going to see Christos. When he gets him to the ground, I think he's going to take him down whenever the hell he wants to take him down. It just comes to, is he going to be able to find that finish? I think he will. I think once he gets him down, he's going to work to the back. He's going to work to a good spot, sink in a submission victory there. So I do like Tsarukyan here. Submission prop is plus 450. That is just way juicy for me. It's well worth it. A lot of value there, and you're getting off the minus 850 number here. I know that he hasn't had, he's been a submission kind of guy, but he's fought, Tsarukyan has fought some tough grapplers. This is a spot where it's a great opportunity. I think this is a spot here where they're still kind of looking who to put him next, who to put up against next, but this is kind of a slow-moving thing, so I do like Tsarukyan here, plus 450 to get the submission. And my fade of the card is Joaquim Buckley. Now, I know that a lot of people love this guy. I know that I've heard a lot of people, he's gonna, he is. He's talented, he's explosive, he's got a great, skill set. I mean, he's a young guy, he's strong, he's shown, he's got the KO heard around the world on Impa Kasanganay. A lot of great things there, but the thing to me here, he had that knockout, which really put him on the map. I mean, prior to that, he ended up getting dropped and beaten up against Kevin Holland. He fought very well against Kevin Holland, but he got knocked, beaten up, and ended up getting knocked out in that fight. I mean, dropped and beaten up, and then getting knocked out in the fight there. But he knocks out Impa. His stock goes through the roof. He fights Jordan Wright, who, I'm not very high on him, although Jordan Wright did have a nice win recently. Goes out there and beats Jordan Wright. He looked almost overwhelmed by the pressure. His karate stance, his karate style really didn't gel too well with that heavy pressure, forward pressure of Buckley. And then, but most recently, I think the knockout loss to Alessio Di Chirico. Losing to Di Chirico is really a bad sign. Now, I get it, could it be a lucky kick, lucky this? I get that part of it, but Alessio doesn't knock people out. I mean, he really doesn't knock anyone. He's a, decision machine, doesn't have the power normally, and, he's a guy going into this fight who was pretty much supposed to be fed to Buckley. This was like, knock this guy out and he's out of the UFC, because at that point he was 0-4 going into this fight. So there's a lot of things that really were just saying, hey, knock this guy out, we're going to kick him out of here, give yourself another highlight reel knockout. Di Chirico is slow, basic striking. I mean, he can be a well-rounded kind of fighter, and again, nothing against this guy, but he just doesn't really offer up much. And obviously the UFC was keeping him. I mean, going 0-4 normally is the kiss of death. They were looking for him to go 0-5 at that point. And even the fact that he goes out there and knocks out Buckley, to me, is a really, really, really bad sign overall. And then unless Di Chirico most recently just fought and got knocked out in the first round, so he's 1-5 out of his last 6 UFC appearances. His only win coming against Buckley. I think that is a little bit suspect there. But the big part to me here is the fact that he's fighting Antonio Arroyo, and Arroyo is, this actually is a good stylistic matchup. Now, I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but to me, this is actually a very friendly stylistic matchup for him, because you've got Antonio, who has fought, out of his last 2 fights, fought heavy grapplers. Now, I know the cardio thing is going to be something we're talking about in a minute, but the cardio thing is there. But you've got 2 guys that he fought. He fought Andre Muniz, who I think is a rising talent in the UFC. And then you've got Deron Wynn, who Wynn is just a pure wrestler. So you've got 2 guys that the last thing they're looking to do is strike, stand and bang and strike. With a guy like Antonio, who is massively big, a big guy, a little bit short of a reach, but a big guy, strong guy, has power, good kicks. They're not looking to stand with him. They just kept going for the takedown, and he just couldn't do anything. And he almost looked like he was giving up at a point too, because there was just no room for him to work. So he ended up getting, a bad stylistic matchup. But this should be a kickboxing match. This should be a kickboxing match between Antonio and Buckley. This really should just be a kickboxing match. And I think that, Buckley, there's points where, again, it will go in wildly. He will go in wildly. He will look for the big shots. He is quick. He does have great hand speed. But this is going to be some heavy heat coming back at him. And I think this really adds a nice layer for Antonio because, again, he should not be worrying about takedowns. Could Buckley do it? He could. He could look for the takedown and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to tire him out in that first round, get him working, which absolutely could be a thing. And then he's looking to try to knock him out in that second round or wherever it may be, slow down the big guy. Obviously, cardio has been an issue for him. So that could be, but most likely, Buckley's going to be looking to stand. It should be a fantastic striking matchup between both of these guys. And then on the other side of this that you've also got is the cardio thing. Now, we touched on it a minute ago, but the cardio part of this, I think that the space at which that they're going to be fighting is going to actually help. I think it's going to be a pretty good thing where Buckley is going to allow him space. He's going to allow him to be on the outside. Buckley does like to move forward and keep a nice pressure up there, but I think that it's going to leave a little bit enough space for him to utilize his kicks, utilize his strikes, and you've got to remember too, DeChirico, who doesn't really have this, flashy high-level striking, head kick knocked out Buckley. The best weapon that Antonio Arroyo has is his head kicks, is his body kicks, is the power that he has in those strikes. So the fact he's coming back from a recent knockout does hurt him, I think, also, and makes me worry anybody who is looking to back Buckley in this spot. But overall, I just don't think he's proven enough. I think that the minus 225 line, or wherever it may be right now on Buckley, is extremely high. I think that's way high. I don't think it's even worth putting into a parlay. Could he win? Of course he could win. Anything's possible. I just think this line is way, way, way too high. I think it's much bigger than it should be due to the Impa knockout. I think that just goes on everybody's heads. I think that maybe your more casual bettor is really just, hey, remember he knocked that guy out, let's bet him. Without really looking. Of course, again, he should be the favorite. There is no doubt that Buckley should be the favorite. I just think this is way too wide. The line should be much smaller, in my opinion, there. And also, Buckley's there to be hit. I mean, he is there to be hit. He's not a kind of guy that really is, very, stand back and very calculated. He is explosive. He's looking to land big shots. Now I think he's, he can be bloodthirsty too, where he got some knockouts, got some, knockout of the year and all these things. Then he gets knocked out. Things could be different for him going in there. I think that's a big question mark also going in there. So for me here, I think this is definitely my fade of the card. I want no part of Buckley in this spot here. Could he go out there and have a great performance? Absolutely he can. He can go out there. He's the better fighter. He's quicker. I think he can use some other weapons that maybe Antonio is not going to be using in the grappling and the clinching and tiring him out, the cardio. But to me, it's a stay away. I think that first round is going to be very scary. I think that Antonio is going to be landing some big shots. And you've seen Buckley wobble. You've seen him, dropped and gotten back up. And so to me, I think that Antonio has the power to land a big shot there. So this is my buyer beware. This is my fade of the card. If anything, this is a dog or pass for me and a sprinkle. And if you're looking for a sprinkle, I would say you got to go Antonio Arroyo knockout. That is plus 500. If he wins, he is not going to be outstriking Buckley over 3 rounds. I don't see that happening. I think it's a knockout. So I think a sprinkle at plus, if you're looking for a play here, the plus 500 play is probably the best value in this fight here. But I just say stay away from Buckley. So there you have it. Those are my plays, my fades for UFC Fight Night Smith versus Spann. If you're interested in the 5% play, link down in the description. Take a look. Again, we've cashed 10 of the last 13 weeks. Keep cashing. Looking to have another profitable Saturday. And if you're interested in NFL plays, they will be up in the next few days, wherever it may be. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.